Alright, hello again. This is Jeff Scott talking Bootstrap. I did these again out of order, not that it matters one way or the other, but this is presentation 9 of 11 on Bootstrap Tooltips. You know what tooltips are. They're a hint when you put your mouse over something. In fact, what they have you build in this example is, just so you can see it, is this. Now notice tooltip on the left, tooltip on top, tooltip on the bottom, tooltip on the right, tooltip, croissant tooltip, another tooltip. So you can see the different examples. So that pretty much is what the chapter is about. So as it says, we're going to go through Bootstrap tooltips. Alright, a tooltip, as it says, is a message that appears when a cursor is positioned over an icon, hyperlink, whatever it happens to be. So we've got our main setup, and let's just take a look. Usage and examples. So I am on page 3 of 8. In order to use a tooltip in HTML, it must be initialized in JavaScript. For performance reasons, the tooltip and popover data APIs are opt-in, meaning you must initialize them yourself. One way you can initialize all tooltips on a page would be to select them by their data toggle attribute. Alright, if we do this, and we put in this code right here, we can put it in the body. Hello. Alright, so here's our tooltip examples. But if we're going to do this, you'll see what I'm about to do here. We must, of course, surround this with script tags. Now, I don't think that the script stuff has to be at the end. I don't think that the position of it actually matters. I could be mistaken, but to my knowledge it doesn't matter. In general, the tooltip plugin generates content and markup on demand, and by default places tooltips after their trigger element. A more general way to initialize tooltips, or another way you can do it, is to go like this. Now where it says options, of course, you would add whatever options you wanted. They mention on the bottom of page 3, and it goes on to the top of page 4, it says, wouldn't it be great to have some extra information for bits of text, words, or links? And they show you how you can do it. Alright, with a hyperlink. And then they say on the bottom of page 3 and going on to the top of page 4, it says in a more real-world scenario where a paragraph would have tooltips, we would have them for our examples. So I think what they show on the bottom of page 3 and going on to page 4, alright, is pretty much the example, or part of the example that they're going to show in here. So we'll leave that here. Okay? In fact, I'll move that down further. And I want to put my content in here. So here's the scenario that they give starting here. Not long, just 9 lines. And let's go ahead and put it in and see after we do if it works the way that it is, quote, supposed to work. So here is one that we've got set up. Here's another. Again, I'm trying to space these out in such a way as I have been doing, so you can hopefully figure out what's going here with what. So again, the example in here is quite contrived, but that's fine. Let's see if it works. So again, I put in these line breaks, but they won't show in here, of course. They'll just show as should just show as white space, like a single white space character. But let's take a look at what this does. Well, that's not very good, is it? Boy, I'm having nothing but luck here. And it's all bad. It says in a more real-world scenario where a paragraph would have tooltips, we have this as an example. Okay. Don't forget to initialize the tooltip like we did above. Otherwise, no tooltip will appear. Well, I don't have anything appearing here. So this whole paragraph is not showing. It's either being set up. I'm trying to figure out right now, just taking a quick look at this, why nothing at all would be showing there. There's my beginning and my ending div. There's the script, beginning and ending script tags, so that should all be being handled. Alright. Div class equal my text. There we go. Okay, candy, I don't see a tooltip. Croissant, I don't see a tooltip. Sweet, I don't see a tooltip. Now, I don't know, and with what I'm about to show you here, first of all, let's look at the example. The actual example file, which is here, not there, here. Alright, they're going to put the buttons on later, but I'm sure they've got some additional, there we go. Let's open from our CSS the last one we had, which was style 4. Change it to this and do a file save as, and let's make that style 5. One thing that'll do, I can tell already, because we're cutting down the width, so that's going to make it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. I still don't know why tooltips are not working. So that's 5. If I come back in here to my other document, which is here, and I come in and I add style 5, that's going to drastically change the way this looks. Okay, so that's looking much more the way that it does in the book, but these tooltips are not working, so I want to see what they did that I'm not doing. They're going to put those buttons in there. In fact, let's put those buttons in that they're showing, and I'll just copy them in right now. They've actually put those up here. Button type equal button, etc., etc. Okay, there's the tooltip on the left. Tooltip on top. The tooltip on the bottom. And the tooltip on the right. Okay. I'm sure I'm still missing code, but I'm getting it to look more like it does. There we go. So I don't have the actual tooltips in there. Okay, but you can see what my is supposed to look like. Okay, you can see all these. Looks very similar. Okay, it's a little off, but that's oh my. Alright, so let's take a look at what else they have in here that I don't have. There's their function, and they do list it afterwards. So I'm wondering if I do have to put that in after I'm adding my bootstrap stuff. So let's do that. Okay? In other words, this script that I've got in here may have to go at the bottom of the page. Let's see, once we've moved that to the bottom of the page, if that changes anything. Alright, so here, this is still my example. There we go. So I now have all of my tooltips. So it was right all along, I just had it in the wrong place. Which makes me wonder, on the previous example that we went through for chapter 10, because I did it off kilter on the modals, should I have done the same thing? I believe we had some code right there, that script, and I'm wondering if that same script that we had right there again had to be at the bottom of the page, meaning that it had to be right here. Now, again, I'm not sure if this will do a doggone thing, but we can at least try. that didn't do anything. But I got the tooltip to work. All right. Now, what they mention in here, they talk about tooltips on buttons, and that's what I copied in. Not only can we set tooltips on buttons, but we can put them in different directions. You already saw that. So, top, left, bottom, and right, etc. Now, there are options on this. This is mentioned in the book in the article mentioned starting on page 5, and it goes on to page 6 and page 7. They show some of the options, and it says options can be passed via data attributes or JavaScript. For data attributes, append the option to data dash. So notice you can animate to apply a CSS fade. You can do a container to append the tooltip to an element. Delay, which delays showing or hiding the tooltip. HTML, which inserts HTML into a tooltip. Placement, which tells how you want the tooltip to be placed. We've already seen some of that. Selector, if a selector is provided, tooltip objects will be delegated to the specified targets. Title, the default title value if the title attribute isn't present. Trigger, how the tooltip is triggered, and that can be done via click, hover, focus, or manually. Finally, there are some methods that are shown on the last page here. Additionally, you can add methods to the tooltip in JavaScript. You can do show to reveal an element's tooltip, hide to hide it, toggle to toggle it back and forth, and destroy to hide and destroy a tooltip. Now again, that was quick. Probably didn't say very much. Oh, I guess there's even more. On the back, on page 8 here, there are some events that you can use with a tooltip. The show.bs.tooltip event fires immediately when the show instance method is called. The shown with an N on the end is fired when the tooltip has been made visible to the user. So one is before it fires and one is immediately after it fires. Same kind of thing with hide.bs.tooltip, which is fired immediately when the hide instance has been called, and hidden.bs.tooltip, which is fired when the tooltip is finished being hidden. Finally, there's inserted, which is fired after the show.bs.tooltip event when the tooltip has been added to the DOM. So tooltips are nice, but the biggest problem most people have with them is they tend to be overused. And as long as you don't overuse them, all right, they can be a nice addition to your web page. Okay, that's really about all that we can say about it.